Well, hello, veteran outdoorsman here, and did a little bit of a hunting video, things like that. Today, we're going to talk about Ozark Trail hard baits, specifically their jerkbaits, their square bill crankbaits, lipless cranks, and then we'll get a little maybe into their. They've got some poppers and some ultralight lures. We'll talk a little bit about all of them. I know a lot of you out there see them and see the price and think, those are really cheap, really inexpensive. They look like decent lures. I wonder if they're any good. So I'm going to give you a rundown. The first one we're going to look at right now is the Lipless Crank. I'll give you my initial impressions. I've used this. It's got some nicks and scratches on it and things. I like this color. It's got the orange breast, kind of like a bluegill. It's got that gold flash. It's got the dot on it. I don't know if they're trying to imitate a shad or a bluegill, but it's a good color. It's got that orange belly. It's got some really cool eyes on it. See if I can get it to focus there. It's got some really cool eyes. I really like that. A lot of detail. Really good rattle. A good weight to it. I think this is a 1/4 ounce, maybe a little bit more. Casts really well with a bait caster. The shape is a little different. See if I've got another one I can compare it to. I use these and the cotton cordels almost exclusively because of the price point. I do like rattle traps, but the price point of these and the cotton cordels is very similar. So let's compare it to a cotton cordel. That's a brand everybody knows and people really like. Size, pretty similar. Shape is a little different. To me, this looks more like a bait fish. So to me, the shape is better. And something I've noticed, if you look like a rattle trap, the cotton cordel is a little longer and skinnier, where the rattle trap will be taller, shorter this way from tip to tip, but taller this way. This is about the same length, about the same height, but you notice it's more bait fish shaped. It's bigger at the front, smaller at the rear, instead of being more symmetrical. Also, and this is a plus for me, where the cotton cordel, not too bad. Some of the rattle traps are actually pretty well the same shape all the way down. Cotton cordel, not too bad. But you see it's flat in the front and then it's skinny's in the back. I'm not the biggest fan of that, and I'll tell you why here in a second. This is more rounded, and to me, it gives more of the side-to-side action that you want to look like a wounded bait fish. To me, the rattle traps, these cotton cordels, different ones, have a real tight vibration, where this has a wider vibration, more along the lines of like a crankbait. It's got quite a bit of flat surface here to catch water, and it's rounded down here, and it creates turbulence. So in the water, it does this, a fairly wide wobble versus a tight wobble. Different applications for different lures, but to me, this just seems to get more strikes. Seems to catch a fish's attention more. It certainly works well when you're burning it. It gets a really erratic vibration when you're burning it. Maybe close to beds, something like that. When you're trying to get a reaction strike, this seems to work really well. I've actually drug the bottom with this trying to get a lure or a rod that I dropped in the water out. And because of the way that it drags, it just doesn't seem to get hung up quite as much. Now, it's a lipless crank. It's got double treble hooks. It's going to get hung up if you're fishing it in cover. It seems to just get hung up a small percentage less than some of the other lipless cranks I've used. But honestly, pretty good quality bait. One of the criticisms that I see online is the eagle claw hooks. To me, these probably need touched up a little bit because I've used it. But when they're good and sharp, I have no problem with eagle claws. It digs right in. I've used eagle claws for years. I remember when they were the name in hooks, and then Mustad was out there, but it wasn't as common, at least at the shops that I went to. But Mustad was out there. Gamakatsu, a lot of the other brands have become really popular. For the money, I think eagle claws are excellent hooks. Personally, I think they're a little more durable than Gamakatsu, but your mileage may vary there. I have no criticism whatsoever with eagle claws, but if you don't like them, put on whatever hook you want. The lure is a couple of bucks. You want to put a better hook on it. That's not going to hurt anything. But overall, good paint quality, fairly good durability. It's got a few rock chips on it, stuff that's to be expected. Good detail with the scales. I don't know if you can see that, but they're actually molded in. Really good detail there. The eyes, I think, are awesome. The rattle is phenomenal. I don't know how many BBs is in that, but it's got some serious. It's got a good heft to it. Casts really well. I'm not a big lipless crank user, but I've got no problem if I'm going to throw a lipless crank, I'll tie this on just as soon as I would any of the others out there. The cotton cordels I've got here, rattle traps, whatever the case may be, I'll tie this on just and expect to catch the same number of fish, if not a few more, because like I said, it does get that nice wobble. Now let's check out a few other baits that are in that genre. There are other hard baits that are Ozark Trail. They're jerkbaits. Now, good detail, eagle claw hooks, good eyes, not much of a lip, but it doesn't need it, and I'll explain that in a minute. Good shape. They come in quite a few different sizes. I've got a few different ones here. Here's a larger one. It's got some other stuff hooked to it, but there's a larger one. Few different colors. This is a purple minnow. This is a blue minnow. The other one's more of a kind of a fire tiger color, and then there's even some ultralights that I've got as well. Good lures. I've caught fish on these. They cast well. They track well. The thing I don't like versus a traditional, say, a Rapala, or I think these are cotton cordels. Let me look here. I'm not sure. Let me unhook one of these and we'll do a quick comparison. I think this is a cotton cordel, but it's another inexpensive jerkbait. I'm not big on sinking or suspending jerkbaits, and these are not advertised as such. But what I've noticed, Rebel. It's a Rebel. Okay. So versus the Rebel. And I really like this, by the way. This Rebel jerkbait's really good. What I don't like compared to, say, the Rebel or a Rapala, um, if you really like Rapalas, these Rebels are similar enough, and they're much cheaper. I like the shape. I like the action. The thing I don't like, at least the ones I've tried so far, they either sink real slow or they suspend. And with the small lip, also, you don't really, even with a really sensitive rod, you don't feel much of the action of the bait if you're swimming it like a crankbait or something, which I like to do with this type of lure. So for my type of fishing, they catch fish, but I can't do what I like to do with a jerk bait with these baits. Um, I prefer just a plain floating jerk bait, and if I want it to sink, if I want it to suspend, I can always add some dots, put a slip sinker up front, something like that. I prefer to do that. Um, Good looking bait. Color scheme is good. Details very nice. Excellent eyes, like I said. But for me to fish with a jerk bait, this isn't my cup of tea. Um, I've got a handful of them. They're inexpensive. I still fish with them. Not my favorite lure to fish with if I'm going to fish with a jerkbait. There's some applications that I'll use this for. I typically wouldn't use a jerkbait for, but they'll work. Um, Throw it next to some pads and let it kind of just sink down real slow. It's not, it sinks kind of like a weightless worm. Um, and that can get you some strikes. I prefer to use them like a topwater. Throw them out there, give them a jerk, let them sit. Give them a jerk, let them sit. Or to swim them like a crankbait. So for me, these Rebels are better. But again, it's kind of personal preference. But it is a good quality lure. It just isn't what I'm looking for in a jerkbait. Um, then they've got some poppers that are actually pretty good. I've got one criticism right off the back. Let me get this unhooked and I'll show you and tell you what that is. To some, it won't be that big a deal. To some, it'll be a deal breaker. I honestly just don't understand it. I've got a couple different colors here. I've got this purplish minnow one. And actually, I'm wrong. This is another Rebel. So we'll do a comparison. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This is the Rebel. This is the Ozark Trail. So actually, it's the Rebel that didn't come with the eyelet, and I don't like that. Um, but this one did. Good detail. Good eyes again. The eyes that they put on these things are really cool. I really like them. Color scheme's good, and they come in lots of different colors. They get the little fuzzy tail on them if you like that. Gives a little more action, a little more flash things. They float well, they cast well. It's a popper. I mean, compared to a Pop R or lots of the others, not a lot of difference. Seems to hold up pretty well. Again, it's got the eagle claw hooks. Some people don't like that. I've got no problem with the eagle claw hooks. If you don't like them, you can always replace them. They're pretty easy to replace. But I like the eagle claw hooks. It's, compared to a Pop R or some of the others, it's a good bait. I'm not a big topwater guy, but when it comes time to do topwater, I do like a popper or a jerk bait. So I won't be using those Ozark Trail jerk baits. If I'm going to use an Ozark Trail lure for topwater, I'm going to be using this. And I do like it quite a bit. And then let's get into one, and they've even got these in a couple different sizes I've noticed now. The bigger ones are a little more expensive, but that's fine. You can get these in value packs. You can do a lot. You can get a lot of different lures. Let's give it. to give it a little bit of a size comparison, it's similar to the Rebel A. This is more of a diving bait, but size-wise, it's real close. Maybe a little narrower, just a touch. And it's more flat-sided, like a typical square bill, and that's what it is. It's a square bill. Something I've done in the past on a few of these, and there's different colors. There's like this baby bass. There's more of a bluegill color, a chartreuse and white. Lots of different colors. I'm pretty impressed with the detail. The eyes, again, I really like. I like the eagle claw hooks. They've got good eyelets. The cast well, not as good of a rattle as the lipless, but a pretty good rattle. The cast well, they track fairly straight. Like any crankbait, make sure you get a pair of pliers with you because you're going to have to do some little adjusting to get them to track right. Very few crankbaits track straight right out of the box. Over the years, I can only think of just a couple I've had that do that. So, don't let that be a deal stopper, though, a showstopper for you, though. These are good. If you like to throw lipless cranks, give these a try. I really do like them. Again, not a fan of the jerkbaits. I like the lipless. I like the square bills. If you like to throw a square bill, I like the poppers. For what they are, I'm not a big popper fisherman, but I do like the poppers. Again, good detail, good color. The paints and stuff seems to hold up really well. So I'm a pretty big fan of those. Now let's look again. Actually, I am going to come right back. Let me get a few more lures and we'll continue this conversation. Okay, and due to the magic of video, that did not take very long. Now, you won't find these everywhere, and I haven't been able to find them this year, but last year I found a bunch, and I'm glad I did. They had a 3-pack of ultralight lures that had this little crankbait, similar to the square bills and stuff, but this is actually a diving crankbait. Little lipless crank, which is identical to the others, just smaller. I believe these are all around an 1/8 ounce. And then, now this is why I bought them. For ultralight fishing, if I'm going to fish something besides a jig or an inline spinner, my go-to has always been the Rebel Crick Hopper. I know I've got at least, actually I think I've got one tied on, and then I've got one here. That's always been my go-to, and I've caught hundreds, if not thousands, of fish with a Rebel Crick Hopper, typically in green. I've also done well with the yellow. And I think I've got like a Fire Tiger and a few others floating around. But this is the Rebel Crick Hopper. And this is a yellow. It's a color that I really like. But what I found was in that 3-pack, they had this. Let's compare them. Very similar in shape. Eyes a little better quality, honestly. These are just painted eyes. These actually have a glued on eye. The lip is the same angle and profile, but it's a little beefier. So if you get hung on something, it may actually hold up a little better. They've got the eagle claw hooks. They work just as well as the crick hoppers. Yeah, you got to tune them a little bit, twist the eyes, whatnot, or tweak the eyes a little bit. But I was really impressed with this. got a rattle. Very, very. So if you like ultralight fishing, but you like to use little crankbaits and things, these little hopper knockoffs, these little crankbaits, and the lipless cranks. Oh my! Um, I've really, really been impressed. I'll say that really a lot. I've been very, very impressed with these baits. Something that I really like. So, if you are like me and you're a cheapskate, or you're just on a budget, and you like to fish with different styles of crankbaits, and you want to buy a few different styles, and you just don't want to spend a lot of money, give the Ozark Trail ones a shot. I think you're going to be impressed. They're actually really good quality baits. They've got their drawbacks, don't get me wrong. But I've been really impressed with all but the jerkbait. I'm not a big fan of the jerkbait, but I've been really impressed with the square bill, the lipless crank, um, and the ultralights, etc. The poppers, a popper's a popper in my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but they all work really well. So give those a try. Don't be afraid to try a lure like this. I think you're going to be impressed. This is Veteran Outdoorsman signing off. God bless y'all, and we'll see you next time.